Okay, greetings and welcome to the Eccentric Perspective. I am your host, Blake Wally, and today is Thursday, March 20th of 2025, and I have a big show lined up for today. Lots of interesting topics to cover, so we'll see if I can get it done in an hour. We'll just run this is a thumbnail here. Pyramids, JFK, and rogue judges. And we get to the headlines here as well. What is coming up? What can we expect? Here is the outline for 3/20/25. The JFK Files. Did they deliver yet another disappointment? In Congress, so should they strip jurisdiction from federal judges? Should Judge Boasberg, should he be impeached immediately? How about transgender inmates belong in prisons for women? Controversial. Tesla carnage. Is it all fair game after the dangerous Bud Light boycotts? And Governor Tim Walz. Does masculinity intimidate MAGA voters? Interesting. And are white college graduate women, are they the most easily indoctrinated? And did the recent Giza discoveries, have they confirmed a cover-up of an ancient alien civilization? Well, these topics and perhaps more, feel free to chime in on the chat. Perhaps I missed something. Perhaps there's breaking news. Perhaps you want to give commentary, feedback, criticism, what have you. Feel free to drop a line on whatever channel you're watching this from. And then why don't we get the intro underway and we'll dig in. So here we go. Okay, well, welcome back. Let's dig in, shall we? I don't really know if I should call this a headline per se, but it seems to be, it's one of the big stories, and we were all waiting. I spent my whole live stream on Tuesday, a later live stream, waiting, and nothing happened. And then finally, later into the evening, they finally released 80,000 pages, allegedly. And then, we couldn't really search anything. So we're just all left floundering, trying to find answers. And people are trying to get AI to look at it. And it included no summary. Here you go. Here's all the evidence. Have fun digging through everything. Perhaps we'll reach our own conclusion, assuming we actually got everything we needed, and it doesn't look that way. And so far, it doesn't seem like there's any bombshells, although there is some interesting material that we probably could have gotten 20 years ago. But let's take a look here. JFK Files revealing CIA operative thought agency was responsible, then suspiciously died 6 months later. So this is kind of one of the new revelations that's come out. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to come, but so far, no smoking gun that I've seen. But I'll get to that. But I'll just say a couple of the noteworthy things that I will talk about. But if you guys have found anything, please feel free to tag me with something. We can bring that onto the show here. A little show and tell for the rest of the class. But this is interesting. So he might have had some heroic whistleblower way back in the day, knew something was up, tried to warn everybody, and then found dead months later after a suspicious looking suicide. So they say 80,000 pages. I don't know if that's actually true. In fact, I just grokked it. I don't Google anymore. But it was not actually 80,000 pages. So we're wondering where the rest of them are. But here's one particular file concerning the death of a CIA operative named Gary Underhill. And the file states that the day after the assassination, so we're talking about November 23rd of 1963, long time ago, Gary Underhill left Washington in a hurry. And late in the evening, he showed up at some friend's home in New Jersey, and he was very agitated. Here's the document. It says a small clique within the CIA, kind of a rogue agency within, he says, was responsible for the assassination. And he confided to his friends because he was afraid for his life and that he might have to actually leave the country. And then less than 6 months later, he was found shot to death in his Washington apartment. The coroner ruled it a suicide, which didn't make any sense. Because I guess, here we go. His body was found where he was shot behind the left ear, and an automatic pistol was on his left side, which they say was odd because he was actually right-handed. So it doesn't. Why would he commit suicide with his left hand? But I guess people didn't ask a whole lot of questions back then. Didn't have the evidence displayed out like they might be forensically today. But this was a political hit job, so they probably weren't going to go very far with that. And yeah, you don't really want to be messing with these professional assassins, or you're going to end up the next suspicious-looking suicide. Okay, here is the tweet from Colin Rugg, who I don't know if he discovered this, but at least he put it out on display on Twitter for all of us to see. I won't dig into that, but that is one interesting note. Babylon B, little satire here, saying the CIA's JFK files clearly prove the CIA destroyed all their incriminating JFK files. Perhaps they did, or they redacted. But there's definitely something missing. It does not feel like we got the complete list, the complete group of files. Let's. Oh, one more. There's one more interesting thing that I found. Just some random post here. But that does feed into the theory, and we tried to cover this a little bit on the Tuesday night show, Toxically Masculine Tuesday. Mike Barra is somewhat of an expert with the JFK assassination. In fact, has written 2 books about it and alleges that the MJ-12, which is in the kind of the secret space program going kind of with the CIA, this kind of deep state segment that may have been frustrated with JFK supposedly cozying up to Khrushchev and wanting to do a collaborative effort with the Soviets, who were our enemies at those times, but were advanced, launched Sputnik, were certainly capable, had the technology, and if the United States and the USSR were working together, we could certainly maybe better our efforts with the space program. And once that was finalized, they said JFK kind of sealed his own fate, although he had certainly a lot of enemies, CIA, FBI, the mob, I don't know, the Cubans, the bankers. Who wasn't? There's many people that wanted him out. And of course, the warmongers that were wanted to get into Vietnam Knew that Lyndon Baines Johnson would be the guy to do it. And so he was in on it. So I don't know if we've made that connection yet from these documents. But let me pull up. Okay, so here is says JFK demanding to see UFO intelligence 10 days before his assassination. I don't know what to make of this. A lot of people have their suspicions, pointing their fingers. We still don't really know. It would have been great if this included the summary, because somebody on the inside knows something. They have put all the information together and they can conclusively say what probably happened on that fateful day. And yet we're not getting the direct answers that we were hoping for. Just tons of documents being thrown about the internet. And a lot of people scrambling to put the pieces together. So I asked Grok about this very thing. Say, hey, Grok, can you give me 5 to 10 bullet points about interesting revelations from the recent JFK Files? And here is what Grok came up with. CIA surveillance of Oswald. Okay, well, that's really not that interesting. I think Oswald was probably a part of the CIA, so it's no wonder that he would be surveilled. One of their assets, one of the perhaps one of the shooters, or not, but definitely set up to be the patsy and the fall guy, somebody nobody would miss. Kennedy's distrust of the CIA, well, that's not exactly a bombshell revelation either. I think there's a quote where he said he wanted to smash the CIA into 1,000 pieces. So that's hardly new. Mafia connections, yeah. It's also got to do with his brother Bobby going as the attorney general going after the mafia. So that's okay. And of course, the Kennedy family and his father running booths and what have you. Again, not a revelation that there's CIA organized crime, Chicago back in the day. Okay, well, Gary Underhill's claims that the CIA memo deals the assertion that there's rogue agents or a clique within the agency behind the assassination died mysteriously. Okay, we covered that. Propaganda efforts. CIA fed propaganda to the press portraying Oswald as a pro-Castro communist. And of course, they never gave him the chance to show up in court and say, hey, there's no way I could have made that shot. He did say right before he was killed that he was a patsy, which was not a common word in the vernacular during those days. In fact, I used to have an old dictionary, and the word patsy is not in it. But somebody who is involved in the CIA and these clandestine activities would certainly know what that was. But they had to shoot him so he wouldn't talk. There's so far no major contradictions to the lone gunman theory. So they're still going to stick with that. No word about possible shooters on the grassy knoll. Almost surely there were, and many witnesses testified to that. And some people think that it was perhaps the police officer, J.D. Tippit, who was killed by Oswald. And then Oswald killed by Ruby. Then the Cuba and Castro context. In 1963 reveals intercepted Cuban military messages suggest heightened CIA activity, and that's the whole trying to overthrow Castro, Bay of Pigs, blah, blah, blah. But there really isn't anything new so far. And there was supposed to be 80,000 pages, and I think it was only 67,000. I don't know where I got that number from. I know I saw it somewhere, which means there's still missing stuff. And then I don't know how we're going to put pressure on the administration to find out anything more. Or is this going to be it? So, big disappointment again. Good question, Frankie. Yeah, who is still alive that the truth would uncover? Yeah, so many people associated. I mean, we're talking now almost 62 years ago. Or is my math correct? 1963. So yeah, 62 years ago. Yeah, it's probably not a lot of people alive because anybody associated with that would have been, at least in their 20s, I would think. So most of them would be in their 80s or 90s. Most of the people that were involved around that time are, probably passed away or are very close. I think there's even been deathbed confessions and nothing's come of that either. So they're just intent on burying this forever till we run out the clock. And I know somebody who seems to be excited. The worst take on the internet, no surprise, from Benny Boy Shapiro, who had this to say, his take on JFK. Let's check this one out.
Sort of conspiracy theorizing that's become incredibly popular on the right these days. It was popular on the left, and now it's become increasingly popular on the right. The kind of, let's just ask questions. We'll ask, who really killed JFK? Wink, wink, nod, nod. And then you're like, well, do you have any evidence of the thing that you are presupposing? Well, no, I'm not making any accusations. I just know I don't believe the story that I'm being told. I know not to trust the authorities. Like, well, that's fine, but do you have any evidence?
Do you have any evidence? Yeah, that there is no fucking evidence, you clown. They've buried this story forever. It took 62 years, and now they're releasing 80,000 pages of stuff. And they redacted half of that. Well, not half. But if we're only getting 67,000, where's the rest of it? Yeah, clearly they don't want us to know what happened. That whole incident took America into a totally new trajectory. They stole our future from us. We had a great president who was on the right track, and then these deep state goons killed him and then buried the evidence and killed the assassins, and they left us without the answers. Now we're just supposed to, who cares? Let's keep rolling.
Evidence, not just supposition. I said, well, you're part of it, aren't you? You're part of it. The reason that you're so defensive about all this is, I don't care who killed JFK. I mean, I do, because it's really interesting. But I noticed that the calendar says 2025, and he was killed in 1963. And so my opinion about who killed JFK has about as much relevance as who killed William McKinley, or James Garfield, which is to say, not an enormous amount.
Okay, so I guess, hey, who cares? It was a long time ago. Let's move on. I can't stand that guy. Little Benny Boy. And yeah, you're going to suspect Mr. Israel First and his stupid yarmulke. Why don't you move back to Israel? Anyway, here he is. Yes, this is the guy who said, get the vaccine, dopes. Wow, what a genius. No, he's got a computer brain, but he's got no imagination. So anyway, there we go. There's your worst take on JFK. It doesn't matter anyway. Or does he get some kind of vested interest? I've always thought he was kind of a gatekeeper, probably tied in with, Israeli intelligence. That was one of the leads that maybe had something to do with AIPAC. I don't really know if that's true. Israel is mentioned. I'm not just anti-Israel, though. I guess there was a lot of other countries involved. There certainly is some connection there, and certainly there's a lot of power and influence in Washington. And he's also been accused of perhaps taking orders or having tight communications with the Mossad, which makes him not very trustworthy. Again, certainly more Israel first more loyal to that country than he is towards ours. So his opinion should not matter. Anyway, so that was in one of the more interesting things I found. Rightfully getting roasted on Twitter for it. Okay, I think we shall move on to another subject here. What else do we have on the agenda? Well, big one with all of the federal judges interfering with this administration. Trump and the MAGA agenda, saying the judicial insurrection is worse than you think. It's been pretty bad so far. There's going to be a few examples I will cover here. As the point of all the injunctions and restraining orders is to preserve the supreme rule of unelected and unaccountable bureaucrats. Let's see, we have these activist judges, and perhaps they are part of that corrupt system, and they're trying to obstruct and fight back, because it's going to be really painful for the corrupt politicians in Congress that have been getting away with way too much for too long, especially one of them. But we'll get into it. There's a few examples here. So seeing at this point, it's not too much to say that the federal judiciary has plunged us into a constitutional crisis. And yeah, there's a balance of powers in this country. Separation of powers. But it's between, you would think of it's the executive, the president, and legislative, the Congress, and the judicial, but I would think that is the Supreme Court, not these lower courts. I don't think they have the power to stop the president, but somehow we're letting them. But perhaps this can be averted after they can put up a fight here, put up a couple of speed bumps, but it might just be, just a temporary delays, hopefully. So more nationwide injunctions and restraining orders have been issued against Trump in the past month, and then were issued against the entire Biden administration in all 4 years. So on Wednesday alone, that would be yesterday, 4 different federal judges ordered Elon Musk to reinstate U.S. aid workers, something that he has no authority to do, and ordered President Trump to disclose sensitive operational details about the deportation flights of alleged terrorists, ordered the Department of Defense to admit individuals, well, in this case, suffering from gender dysphoria to the military. Another one ordered the Department of Education to issue $600 million in DEI grants to schools. So it seems to be an attempted takeover of the executive branch by the judicial branch. But this is one of the lower courts. To me, it'd be one thing if the Supreme Court were involved. But why we didn't elect these federal judges in the lower courts. So why are they trying to circumvent Trump? Anyway, so that's leading to this constitutional crisis. Looks like the courts are willing to defend the deep state, and it's a lot of partisan hatred of Trump by specific judges. Specifically, this activist judge, James Boasberg. And there's a few different things that are wrong with that. And it's also sad to see. Not that I expect John Roberts to do the right thing. He usually disappoints us whenever it counts, because Trump and many people are calling for Boasberg to be impeached, and John Roberts is saying that shouldn't happen. Well, anywho, so this is being an interesting battle we have going on. So again, hopefully just a temporary situation, because they have no business doing this. They're just grandstanding. So I said the plain reality of this fight with the federal courts is really a fight against the entire progressive scheme of the administrative rule. And it's one that Trump has to win if we ever want to restore the role of politics. That's public opinion and the consent of the governed to its rightful place in America. Yes, America's went out in droves and voted for Trump, and now his agenda is being stopped by lower courts. make it make sense. They're saying, yes, Trump should just ignore the rogue judges. He's going to try to do this the right way, but if it becomes a spectacle and they're interfering, it's time to just run them over, impeach them if you have to. Unless there was like a really, I don't know, a strong reason, or the Supreme Court got involved. But I mean, one of the things that's been the most ridiculous, and that goes into the Boasberg, is trying to halt the deportations of violent criminal gang members that are in the country illegally. So the Train de Aragua, a U.S. designated foreign terrorist organization, were sent over to El Salvador, to the Supermax prison there, CCOT. And they had no business being in this country. And that's a place that better suits them. If you're causing crimes in multiple countries and you're a danger to society, that's where you're going to get rounded up and sent there. But this judge, there was I think 238, it was 238 gang members. 200, of just the Train de Aragua, along with 21 of the MS-13 were shipped out on a plane to El Salvador, citing the Alien Enemies List, or the Alien Enemies Act, which allows a president to deport non-citizens during a wartime. Although we're not in official war, they have been designated as terrorists. So that's changed the game. And what have they been doing? They've been terrorizing citizens of this country. The guy that killed Laken Riley was Train de Aragua. When they had that apartment building in Aurora, Colorado, that was completely taken over by gang members. Those were all those same Train de Aragua. So they're terrorizing communities. They're here illegally. Many of them have been committed crimes in their home countries, so they just came here, and now they're being sent to prison, and they can let them sort it out, but at least keep our communities safe. But this rogue judge, decided no, and then it turned out there was a major conflict of interest involved with it, which was quite shocking. Let's pull this up here from Laura Loomer. Said Chief Judge Boasberg blocked the deportation of these gang members without disclosing the fact that his daughter works for a 501c3 that gives criminal illegal aliens and gang members legal advice. So those are all her potential clients being deported out of the country. And so her father activist judge said, no, send them back. But in that case, it was too late. But now he's going to try to obstruct, I guess, any more of them from leaving. But that is pretty significant stuff. Also of note about Judge Boasberg was that he apparently protected Ray Epps, the FBI informant who was trying to get innocent protesters from J6 to cross into the Capitol, where they would be get into an enormous amount of trouble. He was trying to get people to cause chaos on Jan 6 so that they could demonize Trump supporters. Everybody knew this guy was an FBI asset. There have been multiple that were named that were actually there. Seems obvious that he was one of them. And I guess Judge Boasberg did something to protect him. He's been meddling around in a lot of stuff. So you're supposed to be impartial as a judge, but not if you're just an extremist leftist activist. But maybe that makes him an asset for the deep state. That's why he's there. So, got one more here. No, we got a couple more. The Chief Justice, in speaking of Bukele here in El Salvador, who took over, and had a massive gang problem there with MS-13, cleaned up his country, and has collaborated with Donald Trump to bring those violent criminals there where they can be detained. And he's saying he ran into similar problems when he took over, when he became president. And they had to remove corrupt judges and corrupt attorneys and prosecutors. Said if you don't impeach these corrupt judges, you cannot fix the country. They will form a cartel or a judicial dictatorship, and they'll block all reforms, protecting the systemic corruption that put them in their seats. Yeah, this is only going to empower more of these rogue activist judges to impede the Trump administration. So it's time to start pushing back. But let's hear him in his own words when he spoke at CPAC.
But jumping out of the water when it's already boiling is an almost impossible feat. You are not there yet. And believe me, you don't want to be. We did the unthinkable to cleanse our society. We arrested the terrorists, but we have to remove corrupt judges and corrupt attorneys and prosecutors. But jumping out of the water when it's already boiling.
Well, there we go. He's done a tremendous job. I mean, El Salvador was like a lost cause, gangster-infested hellhole. And, it was hard for American citizens to go and visit because, it's a beautiful area. Nice beaches, everything. It's a little tropical paradise. But there was just way too much corruption, and criminals had taken over. So it's hard to believe that they were able to turn that around. But that's because of this guy who is a hero, and we should be following his model to clean up the corruption from your own country. Now, that's a small country. It's going to take a lot more time here. But yeah, this is compelling stuff. And let's see. Also, we'll get one more to note. Hey, Deb, great to have you here. Yeah, Trump is doing too much good. They can't give him any credit. Must find some way to stop him. And so, yeah, they're going to try to do it. They tried to, put him in jail with lawfare. Impeached him twice, so many things. And now they're just trying to obstruct him, but they're using the lower courts to do it, which is odd. At least it seems that way. Okay, well, let's move on. It's actually Ron DeSantis had an interesting idea. I guess that goes into one of my headlines. Congress, should they strip jurisdiction from the federal judges? Which is his solution here. And he was one of the front runners for Attorney General, I believe, or at least he was one of the potential choices. And, I think he's probably better off as the governor, but he would have made a great Attorney General. And I like what he's doing here. So he's got an idea suggesting that these judges should be stripped of their jurisdiction by Congress, and he has a way to make that happen. Because these judges are not only standing in Trump's way, they're thwarting the will of the people. Again, these people were not elected by us. We elected Trump. People want to see these things take place. We want to see these criminals deported out of our country, and so many other things. So as aspects of President Donald Trump's agenda are stymied by judges amid legal challenges, DeSantis has suggested that Congress could just strip federal courts of jurisdiction. Can't let them sit there and sabotage everything. And when someone responded by asking how such a move could pass, because if these things that the judges are doing here, if you were trying to, do what they're doing, you would need 60 votes through Senate to push something through. But how does some activist federal judge just step up and put a stop to things? So he's saying you could attach it to a must-pass bill and get the 60 through. So DeSantis, who sought, the Republican presidential nod, dropped out, floated the idea of stripping federal courts of jurisdiction. And we'll see. Maybe there's a loophole. Or you can just impeach him. Might be more direct. And Justice Roberts isn't fond of that, but who cares? He really hasn't done a whole lot of good since he was put there 20 years ago. So, all right, well, that's continuing to happen. So we'll see if there's any developments on that case and on that front. At least Boasberg is becoming a nationally known name and an obstructionist, and his little scheme has been uncovered that he was with his daughter, but much similar to the way that this happened in his New York trial. They're trying to hit him with all the felonies from Judge Merchan, and it turns out that his daughter was a left-wing activist. So, not good. So it all needs to be exposed and put a stop to the madness. Speaking of which, there's one more story about another judge here that has done something else controversial. Yes, Deb, legal judgments will not stand. Temporary issue. Okay. Here's another judge who's ordered the Bureau of Prisons to return transgender inmates to women's facilities, reversing Trump's protective order. Now, this one's bizarre. This is I guess he was a Ronald Reagan appointee, which is surprising. Usually I might expect this from one of the Obama appointees, or even, the Bush-Cheney appointees like Roberts. So this one was a bit of a surprise. U.S. District Judge Royce Lamberth ordered the Federal Bureau of Prisons on Wednesday to transfer 2 transgender inmates, biological men who identify as women, back to federal women's prisons. Why? You've got biological men, read that again, so they have a penis, and you're going to send them to a women's prison where they presumably do not have the same anatomy, which makes them in danger of being raped, assaulted. Doesn't make any sense. This move comes after they were originally relocated to men's facilities following President Trump's executive order that limited transgender protections in federal custody. The decision, which conservatives are blasting as a blatant reversal of common sense protections for female inmates. Yeah, you don't put men in there. It's bad enough that you're in prison, but then you're going to, share a cell with somebody who is physically stronger than you and has a penis. I don't understand. This is like a satire, but it's not. This is real. This is terrifying. So the ruling follows complaints from the plaintiffs that they felt unsafe in the male prisons. Well, yeah, I suppose. I mean, maybe they can put them in some sort of protection, but wouldn't the female prisoners feel unsafe having male prisoners in their cell with them? I mean, there's nothing safe about prison anyway. But I mean, there should be some sort of, agreement on common sense, and that if you're a biological male, you should not be in a prison with females. The fact that they've already been transferred and allegedly been abused at their new facilities can only strengthen their claims of irreparable harm. So I guess he's trying to look out, but I guess somebody's going to get harmed either way. I don't know. What a mess. This is, it's an embarrassing spectacle. But here's interesting statistics here, put out by Elon Musk here about trans violence, extremely far above normal levels. There've been a number of transgender shooters. I don't know if it's the hormones. I don't know if there's something wrong with the wiring. But the sexual violence, the data is off the charts. So the rates of sexual offenders, you've got your women, which is extremely rare. You've got men, incarcerated sex offenders, 11,000 out of 29.5 million men. Or is it 395 per million? Well, for every million women, only 3 of them are sexual offenders. But for men, out of a million, it's 395. But for men who identify as women, it's a staggering number, almost 5 times the number. That out of every million transgenders, there's 1916 are risk of sexual offenders. That's not a good statistic. That's something that has to be scrutinized here. But let's take one more look, little comic relief of the absurdity of putting biological men in women's prisons. Makes no sense. And Dave Chappelle pointed that out quite well recently. Let's roll this clip.
God forbid I ever go to jail. But if I do, I hope it's in California. Because as soon as the judge sentenced me, I'll be like, Your Honor, before you sentence me, I just want the court to know I identify as a woman. Send me to women's jail. And as soon as I get in there, you know what I'm gonna be doing? Give me a fruit cocktail, bitch, before I knock your motherfucking teeth out. I'm a girl just like you, bitch. Come over here and suck this girl dick I got. Don't make me explain myself. I'm a girl. God forbid.
Yeah, what the hell, man? I don't get it. I don't understand this planet anymore, this country. I'm hoping, Trump brings back common sense. And they were starting to fix things, and now a federal or another one of these judges has decided to intervene with that, with the inmates, taking some out of danger and putting other ones in danger. I don't know. Make it make sense. Or perhaps there's going to have to be another jail. Or let all of the non-violent, simple drug users out. There's all kinds of reasons to reform the whole system anyway. Maybe they can find something in between, or that they can just put all of the transgender prisoners all in one facility. Maybe. I don't know. I'm sure there's a solution somewhere. But this is a mess. Yeah, Dave Chappelle is a great social commentator, and that was well said there, pointing out the absurdity of this situation. But we'll move on here. Okay, back to the topics. JFK Files delivered yet another disappointment. Yes. Congress should strip jurisdiction from federal judges. Yes. You can hear what they're trying to say. There's got to be some other way to make the system go quicker. It's like, hey, you can make your objection. We'll listen to it, and this is why or why not. We're not going to, go along with it. Judge Boasberg should be impeached immediately. Absolutely. There is a conflict of interest, and he's got multiple issues with him. That just shows that he's more of like a left-wing activist than he is impartial, making judgments on anything. Transgender inmates belong in prisons for women? Probably not. If they're in danger somewhere, I don't know. Let's find another correctional facility for the transgenders, and maybe that'll be a win-win for everybody. All right, well, let's move on. I think I'm halfway through, but I'll try to wrap this up quickly here. This one might take a little bit longer. Yeah, the Tesla carnage. Is it fair game after the Bud Light boycotts? Well, we'll see. Let's jump into that one. How about, well, we do have some good news, because you wouldn't see this under the Biden administration. That's for damn sure. FBI investigating attacks targeting Tesla dealerships and cars. So that's positive. And this was, I actually got this article from Dan Bongino, who posted it. Because this is getting out of control. The leftists have turned into domestic terrorists. They are vandalizing cars, setting fires, terrorizing employees, putting employees in danger with the mayhem they're causing. That's got to stop, and it might be a coordinated attack by paid activists. We shall see. They're also going crazy with all the swatting. Now they're really going over the line here. So they're swatting all of these conservative influencers, and they've hit a couple from InfoWars. This after one of the InfoWars reporters was murdered in a parking lot, Jamie White. So it's really getting awful. So they're sending pizza deliveries to victims' homes, and they're using the name of that murder victim, Jamie White, on it. They're just shoving it in our face, taking their terror campaign against the American people to the next level. So here's the latest. This is Owen Schroyer getting swatted the other day, coming off of the heels of their other reporter, Chase Geiser. Of course, Jamie White died. It's been a very eventful week for the InfoWars crew, under attack by domestic terrorists on the left. But we've got some good people in office, we hope, with Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard. So now they're going to be set to hunt down all these swatting cowards. It's an attack on our law enforcement and innocent families. Yeah, it's a waste of law enforcement resources. And you're going to get innocent people killed, and including their families. So stupid. Or you're going to vandalize somebody's car? You're going to set their Tesla on fire? It's way over the line. It's insane. And there's no voices of reason on the left anymore that are trying to stop anything. In fact, they're only escalating things. We're going to get to that. The Department of Homeland Security says it will start hunting down the leftists responsible for making hoax calls, resulting in SWAT teams being dispatched to the homes of conservative influencers and journalists. This is from Christy Nome. So we got her. Also, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino. Yeah, there's got to be a way to find out where this stuff is coming from, and those people need to be they need to make an example out of a few of those people as a lesson to anybody else that might be trying this stuff. This is just not how we solve things here in America. You can jump on the debate. You've lost the debate. once you resort to these violent attacks. It's pretty sickening stuff. You've got, even the Daily Show audience is cheering for domestic terrorists burning Teslas with Molotov cocktails. Yeah, they're loudly applauding several times throughout this this little segment here. I mean, maybe they were flashing the applause sign on for the audience, but this wasn't just an isolated incident. Actually, I haven't even seen. I've seen the one with Klepper here. He's an annoying jack-off. Let's see. I haven't seen the Colbert one. I think Kimmel's up there too. Let's see. Let's watch this one.
Jim, they're taking to the streets or the parking lots.
Tonight, the FBI and ATF now investigating multiple cases of possible arson.
You can hear it. Yeah, people cheering to see Tesla dealerships, the cars under attack. Flames bursting, terrorizing innocent employees, or perhaps, customers looking at electric vehicles.
Targeting Teslas and Cybertrucks.
This dramatic video shows multiple cars in flames. Police say the attacker used Molotov cocktails. It's the latest in more than a dozen instances of arson and vandalism targeting Tesla.
The same suspect shot more Teslas with a gun. Tesla Cybertrucks were set on fire in Kansas City, and earlier this month, shots fired at a Tesla dealership in Oregon. Cybertrucks.
Shots fired. I mean, you could get people killed doing that. It's foolish and out of line and just has no place in this country for that kind of thing. And they're normalizing this and celebrating it. The left has lost their minds. Let's check out the Colbert clip. I don't think I didn't see that one.
That has led a lot of protests around the country at Tesla dealerships. Now, I want to be clear. I do not condone violence or vandalism of any kind. That is a deeply held belief of mine that comes from the bottom of my CBS legal department.
Okay. I knew there was something here. Because I was like, oh my God, Stephen Colbert is going to be a voice of reason. But no, he's not. It's just a gag and about his legal department stopping him from saying what he really wants to say.
With that in mind, I find it interesting that there's a growing trend of Cybertrucks being vandalized and used as skate ramps or covered in garbage.
There you go. People cheering there on CBS. We had Daily Show, CBS.
To be fair, that might not be vandalism. That might just be a simple mistake because they do look a lot like a dumpster. Tesla owners are facing backlash everywhere they go. Recently, somebody stole the wheels from every single Tesla in a Texas parking lot.
Yeah, you morons don't realize probably 3/4 of those people that are Tesla owners are actually left-wing liberals who did it for environmental reasons. That's how stupid these people are. I just don't get it. Yeah, Devin, they're going to terrorize the guy that just rescued our astronauts, and they don't care. Yeah, I saw a good point about that on TV the other night. These are things that should bring the country together, right? It's nonpartisan issues. Like, astronauts got rescued. They were supposed to be in space for like 8 or 9 days on a mission. Got stranded there for 8, 9, 10 months. They finally get rescued by Elon Musk's SpaceX. Not NASA, not during the Biden administration. They saved them, and they still can't find anything positive to say. It's like they might as well just ignore it. And of course, the unofficial State of the Union address, they wouldn't clap for the 12-year-old kid who had cancer. I mean, Democrats have really lost it. There is just nothing left. They're lashing out at everything, even though their ratings are absolutely plummeting. But they're still just double downing here, and they're still cheering on the domestic terrorism. They're being egged on by these awful leftist hosts. They used to do some good work 10, 12 years ago, but are unhinged now. wild to see. Yeah, and so many other things that Elon has done. They can't point out a single thing that he's actually done that they're upset about. They just, oh, he's a fascist, oh, whatever. It's just emotional, reactionary behavior. It's not based in logic and reality. Very sad to see. All right, well, let's get to Jimmy Kimmel.
Down other than the stock market for a change. Our co-president, Elon Musk, sent a SpaceX vehicle to bring the astronauts back, and when they landed, he fired them immediately upon landing.
Oh, so there you go. He did talk about it, but then made up some bullshit about how he fired them. So nobody can actually cheer like, hey, that should be one thing where we're like, hey, at least Elon did this. That was great. SpaceX was a nice mission. They rescued those people. They landed in the ocean. There was fucking dolphins coming to greet them. What an awesome thing. And instead, no. Oh, he just had to fire them too. Yeah, okay. So they're going crazy that Elon is saving them money through his Doge and all of getting rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse that they wanted. Or that they should have wanted. They used to cheer for under Obama. And in fact, let me pull up this clip here. This is funny. Elon Musk pointing out from Mark Cuban, who was a darling of the left because he was criticizing Elon and Trump. And I've run these clips before with Obama and even Bill Clinton talking about getting rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse that was rampant in government. But they talked a big game, but it didn't actually do anything. And Mark Cuban just 8 years ago was talking about how great it would be to reduce the size of government by at least a third and make it more efficient. So like so many other Democrats, Cuban was all about cutting government waste until Elon and Doge actually started doing it. And now they're burning down Tesla dealerships. Just make it make sense. But here we go. Let's listen to Mark Cuban back in the day.
As a libertarian, I think we can reduce employment in government by at least a third, reduce the overhead and administration by that much or more, so that we can offer more to services for our citizens. And so if when it comes down to it, where I tend to disagree with everybody, and this is the libertarian in me, I'm happy to push down the size of government, and I'm happy to work on making government more efficient, because then more money can pass through and help the people who need it. And that's what needs to change as a libertarian.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. They are just mind control victims, do not think independently, and they're being like weaponized against half the country. It's crazy how that works. All right, well, let's get back to Jimmy here.
Tesla stock is way down, almost disastrously so. People have been vandalizing Tesla vehicles, new Tesla vehicles. Please don't ever vandalize Tesla vehicles. And so,
oh, it's just a big joke. Again, he's setting us up like Colbert. Oh, he's going to be a voice of reason. Okay, guys, you don't need to burn down the Tesla dealerships. But okay, make your voice heard. Speak out against Elon if you have to. You know, make Twitter videos. I don't know. Go to Instagram. I mean, there's many ways of getting your voice heard and, changing things for good with superior ideas, but they don't have any. So they're just lashing out. It's just temper tantrums that are escalating into violence and mayhem. And there are no voices of reason on the left. It's shameful. So I guess what we really need is Kyle Rittenhouse. Maybe he can still go guarding the Tesla dealerships. That would be a nice start, but great meme. Oh, but getting into the headline that I was mentioning from Sean Farash, who was a victim of swatting at least twice, I think. He might be still getting pizzas delivered to his house. Says, I don't remember GOP voters putting a list together of everyone who drank Bud Light on a doxing website in 2023. Did I miss that? No. I mean, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to relate to the mentality because I can't. I've never been in a situation where I was like, oh man, I can't debate this person and I'm so mad that I can't have an argument back and forth. So why don't I call the police anonymously and try to get them swatted, and maybe the police will kill them or their family members, and then I'll win. Then I'll feel really good about myself. I don't get it. Did MAGA ever do any of this kind of domestic terror shit for Bud Light? No, people just stopped buying shit. Or they stopped going to Target because they were selling all their weird LGBT swimsuit crap that was up in the front of the store with I don't want to get into the chest binders and all kinds of weird shit. That's fine. Hey, we're just not going to shop at Target. Make your voice heard. Don't buy the Bud Light. I forget what other campaigns they ran. But that's how you handle things, like adults. Nobody burned down a Target store. Nobody set a Bud Light truck on fire. You had Kid Rock, shoot up a few cases of Bud Light in his own backyard. Big deal. Stuff that he paid for anyway. But no, we are a very divided country right now. And it's weird to see how much the left has changed, because this is not the left that I remember 20 years ago. They never would have done this stuff either. I wish they could come back and be a voice of reason. Like, what the hell did happen to you guys? I don't get it. Yeah, there's people are worried about the summer of love again. 2020. I mean, it was... Even if Derek Chauvin, just white cop, oh my God, killed a innocent black man on the street, that would be an awful story. And that needs to be, he needs to be condemned, politically destroyed. But you don't start burning your local businesses in fucking other cities around the country because of one racist attack. And that's obviously much more complicated, but it's still on principle. Even with Kyle Rittenhouse, he came to prominence because he was defending his city of Kenosha from people burning shit down because I think it's Freddie Blake, who was a shitty criminal in Wisconsin who got shot in the back because he was reaching for a weapon. A total scumbag that everybody hated. But since it was a white cop that shot him, all of a sudden everyone's freaking out and they're burning half the city down before people realize that, oh, what are we fighting for? This guy was a criminal. I don't know. It's bizarre to watch people get their strings pulled. Just no independent thought, just reactionary. It's all emotions over logic. Very unusual. Okay, well, what else do I have? Got Tim Walz. This clown. This is embarrassing. From Minnesota, my home state, or used to be, born and raised. I don't know how they got this guy elected. And he just continues to say outrageous, outlandish shit every day. Latest is that he says his masculinity intimidates MAGA voters. Yes, it's an actual real-life newspaper headline. He made the startling declaration on the podcast of the equally manly Gavin Newsom, governor of California. So two governors chatting. I know it's maybe something you talk about when you're hanging out at the bar with your friend, but on a public broadcast, you might want to use a little more discretion, but I don't think Tim Walz is known for that. So let's run this clip.
But I think this notion of toxicity in masculinity needs to be separated. And I think it's been conflated. And I think we're going to have to work on that a little bit. And I think there is a crisis.
I think some of us scare them. I think I scare them a little bit why they spend so much time on this. No, I'm serious, because I can fix a truck. They know I'm not bullshitting on this. Yeah. I'm not putting this in people's grill. I don't know if my identity is not hunting. My identity is not football coaching. My identity is not, a beard and a truck.
All right, I'm trying to find the part where he threatened to, he was going to be a fighter. Maybe I have the wrong clip here. Oh, wait, here we go. What happened? It keeps jumping. That one doesn't have any volume.
And masculinity needs to be separated. And I think it's been conflated. And I think we're going to have to work on that a little bit. And I think there is a crisis.
I think some of us scare them.
Tim Walz thinks he scares them. I don't know. Tampon Timmy. Putting tampons in boys' locker rooms in Minnesota. No, I don't think he scares anybody. He just continues to make a clown of himself. In fact, he was just called a bozo by Kevin O'Leary. This idiot is hurting the pension fund for Minnesota even by criticizing Tesla. Let's check out a couple of clips here. Here's another one from Tim Walz, directly from his Twitter.
On my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone. They've got that little stock app.
Probably we're not going to be able to hear it very well, but he's talking. He's taking glee that Tesla stock is dropping. So they're all trying to jump on Elon, celebrate his demise by just trashing his dealerships, doxing people that own the cars, and they're happy that his stock, his company is falling. But it turns out that they've got quite a number of shares of stock in his own pension plan through Minnesota. And that was called out by Kevin O'Leary on the CNN panel. So let's check this one out.
When you set a car on fire, you should go to jail. You're a criminal.
Any car,
I don't think we have to talk about it in any other
Tesla.
context. And all those cars have cameras in them, and those dealerships have cameras. You're beyond being stupid when you do that. You're going to go to jail, and you now have a government that just got their mandate. They can't wait to find idiots that do this. You're going to spend 5 to 20 years in prison. If they get them on terrorism, which I think is a stretch, they will have no parole, no shortened sentence. They'll rot in hell in prison for 20 years. And frankly, as far as I'm concerned, that's okay. Breaking in, shooting a car, setting on fire, nothing to do with the politics, nothing to do with Tesla. You are a criminal, and you should go
what about the broader
to
question
jail.
about the protest factor? I mean, you heard
What
Tim Walz.
protest? You're a criminal.
I'm talking about Tim Walz and.
Yeah, it's not a peaceful protest. They are causing violence and mayhem, vandalism, destruction, terrorism. Yeah, they do deserve 10 years. And anybody who's, calling in a SWAT, that should be 10 years. But let's keep going.
And his comments about the Tesla stock, he says it gives him a boost to see that stock going down.
That poor guy didn't check his portfolio and his own pension plan for state. It's beyond stupid what he did. He's talking down a 3.5% weighting in his own pension plan. I mean, what's the matter with that guy? He doesn't check the well-being of his own constituents in his state.
I mean,
that's their investment
to your
fund.
point,
What a bozo.
So I guess it's like part of the Minnesota Pension Investment Fund is you're going to hold some of these blue chip stocks like Tesla, but then you're such a bozo, as O'Leary pointed out, that you're going to trash the stocks. So you're therefore, hurting yourself, your own constituents, and people in the state with your careless banter there. So, yeah, Elon has done a tremendous amount of good. He will rise. He's got several companies. Tesla will be fine, I'm sure. And hopefully there's some way to find bring people together on this. I don't know. It's probably still going to get worse before it gets better. But yeah, if the FBI, DHS, or they start making some arrests, make some examples of a few of these people, perhaps expose an organized racket that these are AstroTurf activists that are being paid to create problems at these dealerships, then that will be exposed and start sending people to jail, and maybe that will put an end to all of this. And at some point, maybe this will finally click and get through towards these liberals, and they'll wake up and they'll realize that they were manipulated, and that Elon wasn't the bad guy that they thought he was. So speaking of which, I'm going to change gears. I guess I have two more quick stories. This one is a very quick one, which is alarming. Talking about manipulation. I don't know where this came from, but it's Mike Lee that posted this. So this is he Congress or is he a senator? I forget. But he's one of the better voices in Washington. And he pointed out this chart with voter opinions of Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Elon Musk, Doge, the Republican Party, the Democrats, Zelensky of Ukraine, and DEI, showing white men with no degree or white men with college degree. That's basically for all white people. It's either men, women with no degree or with a college degree. But what is incredibly alarming is that white women with a college degree, by and large, statistically, are way down on Trump compared to the average person. Like minus 38, which is a staggering number. They hate Trump, they hate Vance, they hate Musk, they hate Doge, they hate the Republican Party, but they fucking love Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine. They love DEI. And their Democratic Party, they're minus 4, so we'll give them a little credit. They're down just a little bit, but everybody is. Democrats have never been this low in history, statistically. Their approval ratings. They are directionless. They're leaderless. Their ideology is failing. They just had a major reckoning through the election. But this is wild. It's like it's indoctrination. It's being susceptible to propaganda. So I don't know what to make of that. White women and their college degrees, I bet they all listen to NPR or MSNBC. They think they've got the answers, but they lack the common sense and the critical thinking skills. But they think they're smart because they have a college degree. I guess that's my analysis looking at it. I don't know how else to explain this, but that is alarming. That's disturbing. Not even trying to knock college, but how do we make sense of this? Anyway, all right, one more issue and then we'll call it a day. That is a really interesting revelation. I mean, this is incredible. If it's true, I mean, it looks surreal. So it's about the Giza pyramids, and apparently there's been this underground structure that has been revealed underneath. So research, yeah, if I can speak here. Researchers using advanced radar technology have discovered significant subterranean structures beneath the Giza pyramid complex, revealing a network of cylindrical formations and chambers extending deep underground. So they're finding spiraling wells, massive cubic chambers, and they could potentially reshape our understanding of ancient Egyptian architecture and civilization. So there'll be ongoing subjects of study and debate with further announcements and scientific analysis promised. But don't hold your breath. Here is one video showing these massive structures underneath the pyramids. Here's a good one from Alex Jones. So if they're doing ground penetrating radar scans, so what you're seeing from the pyramids, it's kind of like islands that are out in the ocean are just like the tops of mountains. You can kind of think that way with the pyramids. They're just the little tip tops of the mountains. But then there's these massive structures underneath, which you know that they were that much taller at one point in ancient history. So I think, what did I put for the headline here? That the Giza discovery confirms the cover-up of an alien civilization. Well, it might. In fact, I think that's probably where I'm going to go with it. There's structures all over this planet that are, I don't know, there's Göbekli Tepe here. Göbekli Tepe. Jimmy Corsetti's been doing a great job of fighting with the entrenched archaeology people, as well as like Graham Hancock. There's a lot of journalists, historians. It's quite a battle. But like mainstream archaeology, they show very little curiosity about things, unfortunately. So you have these wondrous structures like Göbekli Tepe or Machu Picchu, Angkor Wat, there's Stonehenge, the Giza pyramids, there's pyramids all over Mexico, there's serpent mounds here in the United States, and so many other ones, just trying to think of them off the top of my head. Malta, there's structures underneath the ocean. It's like there's great civilizations that were here before. A lot of their structures are aligned astrologically. So it shows you that we had some very advanced ancestors that were once on this planet that built all of this stuff that we couldn't build today with modern construction equipment. And they're erasing our history. And again, they're not showing any curiosity to excavate all of these ancient ruins. And why is that? What don't they want us to know? We're just kind of going blind here with the evolution of this planet and where we really came from. So, very disturbing that the way that they're covering that all up. No worries, Kenneth. Glad you could make it. I did the show at kind of the normalish time. I had a scheduling conflict last time. It was great to have you. And yeah, we're almost at the end, but that's all good. Miss Giza get her pyramid. Earth boobs. Good one. Yeah, they're fantastic structures. And I forgot to mention the Easter Island, all those statues. And you think Easter Island is in the middle of frickin' nowhere. It's because the ocean levels have risen so dramatically. Now, I've watched a lot of this stuff. I'm a big fan of the Graham Hancock and the Ancient Apocalypse series, where he points a lot of this stuff out. And he shows you things. And a lot of it's not common knowledge. It's like they're just trying to bury our history. And there's also, the possibility that the Earth runs in cycles, and about every 12,000 years or so, there's some kind of a major flood, or there's this like a solar micronova that kind of resets everything with the Earth. Everything gets jostled, the continents shift, not a full polar shift where like North Pole becomes South Pole, but where Antarctica flips from the South Pole to the equator every 12,000 years or so. It goes from tropical to frozen. And we might be in for another one of those types of big events, maybe sooner than we think. And so maybe they don't want us to know about that. Or they don't want us to know of our extraterrestrial origins. But that maybe could be false. I don't really know. We don't know because so much of it has been hidden from us. So, but hopefully this will pique more curiosity with people if this can become a major story. And people will start asking more questions. We'll get more excavations and learn a lot more. We should. I mean, so I don't know, but very cool. I mean, those are, I mean, how cool are these pictures right here? Just, I mean, it's an artist rendering, but could you imagine if those are the tops of the pyramids and then how far down those go? Those were not built by simple hunter-gatherers. Those were not built by cavemen. And there are structures like that all over the world. That's one of the other things, the Easter Island, like they just have the heads of those statues, and some of them go a lot farther down. So, who built them and why? But they don't want you to know. Yeah, I highly recommend that, Ancient Apocalypse. Just watch it in stages. Some good stuff there. Well, I don't know. I'm curious. I wish the archaeological and scientific community were a little bit more, but won't hold my breath there. All right. Well, I don't think I have anything else to talk about, so I'll probably cut the show now. But it's great to see you guys, Deb and Kenneth and Frankie and whoever else is out there lurking in the background or watching in the archives. It's a pleasure to have you all, and I thank you for your support. And I'll look forward to doing this all again next week, or perhaps over the weekend if there's some interesting breaking news. We shall see. But that's all I've got for today. So thank you again. Love you guys. And we'll see you next time. But I'm going to run out. Okay. Oh, thank you, Kenneth. Yes, I think I've finally gotten to the point where my hair is long enough where I don't have to put product in. I don't have to slick it all back. That's the ideal scenario. So it's getting there. All right. Anyway, all right. Enough on the personal note, but thank you for noticing. But okay, well, great to have you guys. Look forward to carry the conversation. Until next time, we'll see you later. All right. Have a great weekend, guys. I'm out.